Finding Me by Viola Davis. I slept on this one. I kept telling myself, oh yeah, I gotta get that. I gotta read that. Oh yeah, that's right. I gotta read that book by Viola Davis. And here it is, time has gone by. It's a bestseller now. And here it is. I think I slept on it because I was thinking that, okay, it's a memoir of how she came up through the ranks and she's an Oscar winner and, EGOT. It's just, coming up through the ranks and her story. I didn't know. And let me tell you, you don't know nothing about what she's going to say. You don't have an idea of what she's about to tell you. It's really something. As I can say, it's really something. And she starts from the telling you about her family, and let me just say that if you can get the audio on this, and she received her Grammy from the audio on this book, and of course she did. That's all I've got to say is, of course she did. Because when you listen to the words on the page, of course I read some, listened to some, and I admit that I listened to more of it than I read, but I'm so glad I got the book. In the book, she's got some pictures of her family, and you get to see her mother and her sisters and brothers, her dad. So let me tell you something. Let me just review this book if I can. Let me just start reviewing this book. So at the beginning, she's talking about her family. I'm not going to tell you a lot of what she went through because I want you to read it. But from the beginning, she tells you a little bit more about her mom and when she was in elementary school. And, she and I are about the same age. And I'm telling you, I don't care how old you are. You still remember elementary school. You still remember a lot of some of your classmates. It's amazing how you just remember, and things, she talks about how she had to run. She just had to run a lot of times home from school because she was being bullied and people were messing with her and they were picking at her and talking about she was ugly and she was dark and all these different things. And I can relate. I remember being somebody ran me home from school. So I can remember those things. And so she was talking about how, she was telling her mom she had held it in for months that she's having to run home. And her mom said, look, don't you run, you walk. You walk. And if they mess with you, you jug them. And when she said that, I knew exactly what she was talking about. She explained it. But she was talking about stabbing them. You get them. And her mother gave her a crochet needle. Well, if you've seen a crochet needle, it's got a little hook thing on the end. It's almost round. It is not something it can be used. Don't get me wrong, it can be used. But it's funny when she gave her that crochet needle. And, she talked about one of the sayings that her mother says. And I loved it. She said her mother would be telling a story. She'd like to tell stories. And she would be telling a story. She said, stuff like that and there. And then your aunt and your uncle, they went there, and then stuff like that in there. You got to hear her say that. Stuff like that in there. I got it. We all have things in our family that we say that nobody probably understands, but we understand each other. So that was just one of the parts of it. But she goes through her childhood, and let me tell you something. Humble beginnings is not the word for what they went through. It was not humble beginnings. It was poverty. It's poverty. It was poverty. They were poor. They were middle class. They were poor. They went without the basics, the foundation of just living. They went without the basics for a while, in and out of apartments, just in and out, and with two parents, still in and out. She had quite a few siblings, and it was just going back and forth. I remember listening to the Oprah Winfrey interview she did, and just talking about the amount of rats and infestation of rats that they had to put up with. It was just a necessary evil that they had to put up with, just all the rats. Not an occasional rat. Oh, have you seen the little rat today? Has anybody seen it? No, we're talking about an influx of rats, and they had to live there. They didn't have a choice. They had to live there. When their house caught on fire, they had to go back in there. That was the only place they had to live. So it was just a constant. But you know what? She wanted to be an actress. I'm going to try to keep myself together during this review. She wanted to be an actress. And she kept to that. She kept going. She kept pushing. She kept going. She went through a lot. And when I say, a lot, yeah, we've all gone through things. We all have stories. She's got one. And she waited a long time to me to get this out. Through the years she's been in therapy and all of that. But the fact that she waited this long, I'm so glad she did, though, because, we see her cameras, lights, action. We see her walk across the stage and get awards. And, I knew she was down to earth. I've always thought she was probably down to earth just for listening to her talk, in her interviews. And, I knew she was down to earth, but there's a reason she's down to earth and believable. I follow her on Instagram, and I'm always amazed when I go to like something, she's already liked it. But the review, I want to talk about this book. This book, she goes through her childhood on up to getting all of her awards. She talks about what she's probably most famous for, and that is How to Get Away with Murder, that series that she did. And what I loved was one of her demands was that, hey, I'm going to do this show, but I want to be able to take off my wig. And she does several times. And, she just talks about finding herself. And, I was waiting for the chapter when she finds Julius. When is she gonna get with Julius? Because I see him at the award shows and stuff like that, and I'm just like, where's Julius? And so when she talks about their love affair and how they had 3 weddings, and do another one. That's what I say. Have another one. Let me tell you something. I listened to this book in record time. It moves like a book should move. It kept my interest from chapter 1 to the end. I can't tell you where there was a lull and I was like, okay, come on, okay, we got the point. It was never that. It was like, and what? And then, and then what happened? And then how did you make it through that? And then what happened? And then it was just all of these things. And even the redemption of her dad. Her dad started out really being a monster. And the man took a marked turn. Do you hear me? He took a marked turn. I've never seen or heard of such a turnaround in a person. And he took a turn and lived long enough to show her mother so much love and respect and honor and ask for forgiveness. And her mother, through the years, she stuck with him long enough for him to really, redeem himself. So it's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. And I hope I can meet her one day. It was a masterpiece. Thank you, Viola. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. That's the least I can say. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate you. You helped me. And I appreciate you. Joy to the world. Joy. Joy to the world, girl. You did it. Thank you. Go get it. Go check it out. Listen to it. All right. Joy to the world.